Hello and welcome to the channel again. This is Sam trying to spin to win on Zwift. Today it's Zwift Fight Night. We have most likely a very bruising encounter coming up with Escort Joy Division in another club ladder race. And let me tell you, today we are up against it.
You have no chance!
Well, we're not gonna give up that easy, but we're up against some very tough riders today. But more on them in a second. First, let's have a quick look at today's course, which is the RGV in France.
Vive la France!
I have to hold my hand up here. I did pick this course because it's relatively flat, because I thought that's the only way we will have a chance against this strong team today.
The course is 24 kilometers long, with an additional 900 meters as a lead-in, and total climbing of 133 meters. Zwift Insider estimates it will take around 34 minutes at 4 watts per kilo, and we could for sure be on for a time like that today, especially if the other team pushed the pace. As you will see shortly, they have some very strong riders. The course is pretty flat overall, with really only small bumps along the way until we get to the Aqueduct Com. This is not really a climb as such, but could still prove a point of separation, depending on how hard people push here and how tired we are at this point in the race. The bumps at the end, again not very big, can also prove a separation point. I know this from personal experience, painful experience, as I've lost the front group here more than a few times as the pace ramps up leading into the finish. So overall, a pretty flat parkour, but enough features to make it an interesting club ladder course.
I really like this course, and I've done it a number of times by now. But whether I'll like it after today's club ladder race or not, we'll see. The competition is very tough. So let's have a look at them now.
Introducing tonight's fighters.
In the blue corner, the Vikings who bring the pain. Team Swedish Swifters Ragnarök. In the red corner, spreading joy wherever they go. It's Escort Joy Division.
So, Escort Joy Division. Not a lot of joy there. Wow, very strong team. And they actually only have 4 riders today, unfortunately. And in such a situation, normally we would drop one of our riders to match their numbers. However, again, after looking at their team, they'll be just fine against us with 4 of their riders.
Looking at the team comparison, a few things stand out right away. While Escort Joy Division, as mentioned, only have 4 riders tonight, 2 of those riders are Cat A+. One is Cat A, and one is a strong Cat B. They also have a much higher ZRS score than us, and their average velo score at 2300 is ridiculous, to say the least. And of course, the numbers don't lie. They are stronger than us over every category I looked at. As an example, their average FTP is 4.6 watts per kilo versus ours at 3.8 watts per kilo. That is a big difference. And finally, another example, Clive Wallens has a 5.0 watts per kilo FTP. Man, I mean, I can't do 5 minutes at 5 watts per kilo. So, in summary, they don't need 5 riders tonight. 4 will be just fine to still put us to the sword.
So, even facing only 4 of their riders, I firmly believe we're very much the underdogs today.
Everyone likes an underdog.
Well, at least I hope so. But enough chit-chat. Let's have a good crack at this and see how we get on.
Let's get ready to rumble!
As we roll off the line here, I was going to give you a quick summary of our tactics for the race. However, as you will see, those tactics went out the window after about 10 seconds, since ESCO Joy Division stepped on the gas right away and immediately were scrambling to hang on. And let me tell you, they pushed hard and kept pushing. And after about a minute, 3 members of our team are unfortunately dropped, leaving myself and Magnus with the 4 ESCO riders in the front. At this point, I can briefly mention what we actually had planned, and that was to take turns to cover attacks for as long as we could. We even had assigned a schedule of who was going to go first, etc. But again, that went out the window quick as you like. So, instead, Magnus and I will now try to hang on for as long as we can to the front, with the other 3 riders doing essentially a time trial. If I'm honest, at this point, my goal was starting to shift from trying to stay with the Cat A and Cat A Plus riders, and I wanted to see if Magnus and I could at least beat their Cat B rider, Matthew. So, I was starting to prepare myself for the attacks that I knew were coming, and Magnus and I agreed that we would really try to cover the attacks from the Cat A and Cat A Plus riders. Yes, we may be able to cover a couple of them, but then all of the matches would be gone. And given their rider profiles, they could just do another 1 or 2 attacks, and we would be dropped like a bad habit. And, well, it didn't take long. After around only 3.5 minutes, Tim goes up the road. As I mentioned, I think I could have gone with him. However, if we look at my figures at this point, I'm around 350 watt average. And on a good day, I can do around 380 to 390 watts for 5 minutes. So if I did go for it, I would spend all my bullets at once. And then, as long as he kept pushing on at around 4.5 watts per kilo or so once I caught up, which he is certainly strong enough to do, I would get dropped again and have nothing left in the tank for the rest of the race. So, you have to know when the other guy is just stronger than you, and that was certainly the case here. And as we speed up the footage here a bit, it doesn't take long for the next rider, Daniel this time, to do the same thing. This time Magnus does a very short chase before probably coming to the same realization as me that the pace is just too high to be sustainable. So we keep drafting behind Matt as well as Clive, who I remember having the highest FTP of all the riders in the race, and again, it is just a matter of time before he goes. But I remember thinking that if Matt also goes at the same time, we have to try to respond. But as a Cat B rider, although a strong Cat B rider, I was hoping that Matt was also feeling the effort, just like me and Magnus. And after just over 9 minutes, Clive goes with an impressive burst of speed, and there is no way we can answer that. But Matt doesn't go either, so the question is now, how do we beat Matt? We can see at this point that the other 3 Swedish Zwifter riders are around 20 seconds behind us. But I know they're strong riders and won't give up the chase, so Magnus and I decide to just draft behind Matt at this point. And either Matt is strong enough that he can stay away from the 3 riders chasing behind, or they will catch up. And if they do, then we can start attacking Matt at that point. I have to give Matt some serious credit here, as for the next 6 or 7 minutes or so, he tries his best to ride me and Magnus off his wheel. He even puts in one serious sprint attack, but I decided to use my aero power-up to close that one down. And at around 16 minutes or so into the race, the other Swedish Zwifter riders have now caught up to us. We immediately started to discuss what we should do, but were interrupted by Matt thanking us for not using steering. And then he says he's going to lead us out in the sprint. But he kept pushing hard here as we go up towards the aqua.com. And I told the team to let him drive the pace, to hopefully wear him out even more so that when we do attack him, he would struggle to respond. The first attack actually happened without it really being a concerted effort on our part. As we start to come down from the aqueduct, the other Swedish Zwifter riders push, and a small gap opens up to Matt. I was drafting behind him, and then I put in a bit of a dig to force Matt to do the same if he wanted to stay in the draft. After this little mini attack, if you will, Matt messages us that he doesn't want to lead us out anymore. Fair enough, Matt. Right after this unplanned attack, we agree on our actual plan, where we will send one rider up the road and see if Matt responds. If not, then we'll wait a bit and send another, and so on, rinse and repeat. Magnus is the first rider to go, and there is no response from Matt. We then wait a little bit, and then Jan goes up the road as well, again with no response from Matt. At this point, I thought it was likely Matt was quite tired, so we decided to keep attacking. This time I go up the road, and after pushing for around 30 seconds or so, I catch up with the other two, and I have to admit I was pretty gassed after that effort. Kalle on our team then also attack, and again there is no real response from Matt, who is now at the back with Marcus on our team. As Kalle joins us, we decide to just time trial it from here on in, and then Marcus can decide if and when he wants to attack Matt. While I don't have any footage of the actual action, we can see that Marcus decides to do his attack with around 3.5 kilometers to go. Initially, Matt does respond, and it seems like Marcus will not get away. But he keeps applying the pressure. He has a very strong diesel engine, Marcus does. And all of a sudden, he has a couple second gap, and it keeps growing from there. Strong move by Marcus, but again, full respect to Matt for how he rode the race. As we get towards the finish, we all agree that we will sprint for it, which was great as I really wanted to practice my sprint and see what power I could produce on quite tired legs. Kalle starts the sprint with around 250 meters to go, and I hit my aero power up and go full gas behind him. I do manage to hit over 1000 watts for 5 seconds and close to 900 watts for 15 seconds, which I think may be a new best for me. So I'm really pleased with that, especially since I was quite tired from the overall race. But I have to admit, I do remember thinking that while that was a decent sprint, I was still 2 minutes behind the winner. So let's not get ahead of ourselves here. With that, let's have a quick look at the final results. Okay, the picture is pretty clear here. Crystal clear, in fact. We were comprehensively beaten by Esco Joy Division, even though they only had 4 riders. Daniel, Tim and Clive were way too strong for us and finished over 2 minutes ahead of the rest. However, I still felt we rode a good race, and for all of us to beat Matt, who is clearly a strong Cat B rider, is a good result, I think. Tactically, in the end, I think we got it about right, whereas if either Magnus or I tried to go with the attacks from Daniel, Tim and Clive, we would have blown up and most likely finished last. So all in all, I think we did as well as we could, but again, many congratulations to Esco Joy Division for a well-deserved victory. For me personally, I'm starting to feel like the form is moving in the right direction finally, which is good news. Okay, some post-race thoughts before we wrap this one up.
All right, post-race thoughts. Whew, great race. Really enjoyed it. And from our team's perspective, I think we rode about as well as we could have. But their 2 Cat A Plus and Cat A were just too strong, as expected. They kept the pace high for the first 5 to 10 minutes, and when they then started to go, we already decided that it would be too hard to follow. I think we could have followed 1 or 2 attacks, but that would have been it. We would have burnt all our matches. So rather, we decided to see how many of us could beat their Cat B rider, Matt. who, by the way, I thought rode very, very strongly. So he kept the pace high. Once their 3 Cat A riders had gone, and Magnus and I just sat on his wheel and covered his attacks. And slowly, I think he must have gotten a bit tired, understandably so. And the 3 guys on our team that were dropped at the start were slowly coming back. And I knew once they came back, we had a good shot at wearing Matt out. So we sent one guy up. When Matt didn't respond, we sent another one. And then I think he was pretty toast. I went, and then Kalle went, and then it was just Marcus against Matt, with the rest of us TTing away. And at some point, Marcus decided to give it a go, and he got a gap on Matt, who I think must have been knackered from his effort of pacing 4.5 watts per kilo for a good while. So a chapeau to Matt. And we had a tiny sprint ding dong in the end between the Swedish Swifters. That's a bit of fun. Anyway, chapeau to Esco Joy Division. Way too strong for us, as I thought they would be, but I thought we acquitted ourselves pretty well today. I think the power numbers were not bad, so can't complain about that. They were just too strong. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. I hope I'll see you again in a video soon from ZRL on Tuesday. I'm not 100% sure whether I'm selected yet. Hopefully so. Either way, this is Sam trying to spin to win on Zwift, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.